Welcome back to Straight Facts on Tuesday. We're today sponsored by my friends at Brickhouse Nutrition. I'm going to talk about them a little bit more later in the show, but scan the QR code, check out their Field of Greens products, organic, amazing supplements that really help you keep fit. Man like Eddie would be proud, I'm telling you, but more on Brickhouse Nutrition a bit later. I'm joined today by Dan and LB. How are you, boys? You both well?
Oh, good, man. Oh, good. Yeah,
Very
just
good,
just saying off stream, weren't we? That, like, it's back now. This is it. You know what I mean? Anyone that's had a little bit of a break, myself included, from today, tomorrow, whenever you want, really, it's on. And like Terry was saying, you not even got the Prem, you got the Champions League, you got the Euros and everything. So strap in, man. It's going to be busy, isn't it?
Until the next
transfers as well. Yeah.
Until the next international break, it's 6 months now of absolute football carnage, and we're very excited about it. We're going to be delving into a little bit of international stuff today, talking about Mainoo getting his debut, your boys' thoughts and feelings surrounding him. We're going to take a look at Arsenal versus City. We're going to get a bit of an early preview in due to having a City and an Arsenal fan on this stream. I think it's only fair that we do that. And we will be touching as well first, really, on we all know about the situation at Chelsea in terms of we spoke about it last week. They're facing this financial hole, this £200 million FFP hole. They've got to sell a lot of sort of not grassroots players, homegrown players to try and raise some money. They've also got to raise their outgoings or increase their incoming by about 300 million per year, circa because of the new rules that are coming in. But what's also kind of pending at the moment for Chelsea is their self-imposed investigation. They have reported themselves to the Premier League for financial irregularities, offshore payments made by the oligarch Roman Abramovich to pay agent fees or to pay for players, pay for transfer fees that were not declared through the business. But there's a court case that's going on, and we're going to go into it in more detail, that now involves their old sort of marina who used to run the football club. And the documents that have been leaked and that are going to be shown in court not only demonstrate what Roman did, but they show that she was involved. She had full knowledge of these payments, and that she herself may have received tens of millions of pounds in offshore payments that have helped her pay for properties and everything else that should have gone through the football club. And obviously I sent the link out to you boys for this article a little bit later, but it doesn't make for good reading. And there's some snippets here that show that talk about the court documents that detail millions of pounds in fees funded by offshore investment vehicles belonging to the Russian oligarch, emerged last year as a result of Cyprus Confidential Leaks project published by The Guardian and international partners. It goes on to speak about the Premier League are investigating whether Roman secretly subsidized his team by using offshore companies to make payments, which should, under rules under rules designed to ensure fair play in the competition, have been made by the club itself, not from his own bank accounts. Another segment here that speaks about the beneficiaries of secret payments include the agent of Eden Hazard to sign him. Files suggest that other transactions appear to connect the purchase of Willian and the Cameroon striker Samuel Eto'o. And although most of the evidence hasn't been seen yet, leading sports lawyers have previously told The Guardian that any payment for services to Chelsea ought to have been borne by the club, and that any failure to disclose them in the club's accounts might be seen as a breach of the Premier League rules. So overall, gentlemen, not a very good look at all for Chelsea Football Club right now, with the FFP situation, the self-reporting, and now this court case that's going to reveal multiple more documents, give the Premier League more access, that shows that their head honchos running the club were also involved.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? I mean, when you read it, it obviously sounds dodgy. It looks dodgy, and and Chelsea's reported themselves about stuff that's happened under Roman. So it's like it's similar to the City case, in obviously that the owner is being alleged to have paid for stuff that should have gone through the club. But one of the differences, obviously, that City have denied everything, and Chelsea have on certain things, obviously admitted stuff on stuff in the past. So it's a crazy situation, and I guess we're in unprecedented waters here, because no one really knows Like, what's going to happen? Obviously, we've got the Forest thing. Obviously, we've got the Leicester thing that's now going on at Everton, but they're minuscule. These are straightforward breaches of FFP. You know what I mean? Whereas what Chelsea have been alleged to have done, what City have been alleged to have done, is much more serious. And if City get found guilty or Chelsea get found guilty of any charges, obviously at the moment they've not been charged of anything. We should probably say that. But if they do get charged with something and get found guilty, same with City, it's going to be serious outcome. So, yeah, it's interesting, and I just keep coming back to that. I know I say this all the time to you, Terry, and I don't want you to get bored in that, but I just keep coming back to that paragraph that was in the Forest judgment, because I just can't get my head around why would they have put that in there? In my opinion, it's just my opinion. I've not spoken to anyone. I don't know, and these guys on the panel can disagree. Or chat, you can disagree. I think it's a warning. And it could be towards City, maybe it could be towards my own club, it could be towards Chelsea, it could be towards Leicester, who knows? But I just think like that paragraph that they put in that judgment for Forest about basically someone's getting kicked out of the league if you get a serious breach. I just think that like they know it's coming. Is it City? Is it Chelsea? Is it Leicester? Is it someone else? Don't know, but they know it's coming, and that's why they put it in there. Listen, it's kind of crazy. I hope they've not. I hope they've not done anything serious, because obviously I don't want to see any team get kicked out of the league, including my own. You know what I mean? I don't want any team to get kicked out of the league. I mean, when you read the stuff and when you read the article that you sent me earlier, I mean, it certainly looks sus. To be fair, at the very least.
Well, it certainly does, because again, this isn't there are leaked documents, but these have been leaked documents from a legal firm in Cyprus that handled Roman's business. So this is where Chelsea fans have got to sit up. We had CB on the show yesterday that was talking about how he believes all these links about Roman are being done by Todd Bowley and co. So that if everything goes wrong, they can blame it on Roman. They can say, well, Roman did all these things in the past. That's why we've got a transfer ban. That's why we can't spend anymore. It's not our fault. It's Daddy Roman for what he did. And I understand that conspiracy theory to a certain degree. But what does stand out to me is that for years, Wenger said it in 2005, that what Chelsea were doing was financial doping. Rival fans and media pundits at the time all said, when Chelsea was spending between sort of 03, 04, right through until sort of FFP came in sort of 2012, 2013, how are they actually doing this? Is it all above board? Something seems off. And it's really interesting now that the two clubs who have been accused multiple times and just sometimes in passing judgment of, it doesn't seem right how much they're spending, is Chelsea and City. And they are both, one's under investigation for breaking spending rules, and City have obviously been charged with 115. But I agree with you that Chelsea's is more damning in the sense of they've reported themselves. A lot of this has been self-reported by Chelsea. They have gone to the authorities and said, we have done this. Now, they may have partly done that because they knew this court case was coming that involves Marina, that isn't that where this was going to suddenly be revealed. And I think they've looked at it and gone, if we cooperate, I think 34 of the charges against Man City are for not cooperating. So maybe Chelsea's train of thought is, well, if we cooperate, it's going to save us on an abundance of chances of charges. But at the same time, you're almost admitting to wrongdoing. You're opening up the doors for scrutiny, and they find themselves in a really difficult situation because there is no reason for these payments to have been made offshore. There is no reason for him to have been made offshore. You're paying, like, I think it was about £9 million to Hazard's agent. The day after the payment went through, he publicly agrees to join Chelsea. That for me stinks. There's also signing Antonio Conte as manager. It was stalling, and then a £9 million payment was made to not even his agent. It was like an associate of his agent. The next day, Conte agrees to join Chelsea. So I'm just a firm believer in life. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but there is no smoke without fire. And this is what they've been shown. And the most important part of the article, when you read it, I want to go to Potsy on this, is they state that the vast majority of evidence is still yet to be made public. So what we have seen and been told about sounds bad. And if the vast majority, almost like an iceberg, you only see the tip of it, if the vast majority of it is still beneath the surface, this could get very bad very quickly for Chelsea.
Yeah, and I hope it does if they've done wrong. You know, I'm a little bit dissimilar to LB. You know, LB sort of said, "Oh, I hope nothing happens to them. I don't want anyone to get kicked out of the league." Yeah, neither do I. If they've done nothing wrong, but if that's the punishment, Arsenal if they've done wrong, Man United have done wrong, if that's what the punishment should be, as long as they have actually done wrong, then I'm cool with it. And this sounds dodgy as hell, Tel. I mean, we're talking about people are talking about Todd Bowley and stuff. This is before his time, man. They talk about Willian and Samuel Eto'o, talk about Marina, talk about Roman, and you know, there's that old age debate: is money going to ruin football? And there's some more evidence as to why potentially it will there, you know. And people that want to, oh, this money is going to destroy football. A lot of people think it's exciting for football. Arsenal are exactly the same. We're a very, very rich club. And, you know, it's exciting when you buy these players and it's great to see teams doing this and that. But a lot of the football loving fans will say money is ruining the game. And I think this is just more evidence to suggest that it's corrupt as hell. Now, if this is all going to come out that it's true, and I think they should throw the book at them, man. If they have been doing stuff like that, it's dodgy as hell. Same as City. I've said this to LB and I've said this to City fans. You've done nothing wrong. It's calm. We get on with playing football. If you start doing stuff which potentially could be either unfair or look like you could be cheating or look like it could be corruption, whatever, the right thing has to be done. And if that is demoted to the league, then do you know what? I know a lot of City fans and Chelsea fans. I'm an Essex boy. I know Colchester pretty well, so they'll be playing them in League Two away if they fancy that. If they need any hotels or anything, let me know. So I'll sort them out because that could be your next away trip, mate. Colchester and Walsall away will be. That'd be nice. You know, you used to it a few years ago. It was only 20 years ago you were playing them anyway.
Well,
so,
I think
you know,
if Chelsea and City go down together, then we'll just keep featuring them on the top 6 show and stuff because they'll at least be there together. It makes sense. They can update us on League 2, League 1, how it's all going and everything else. But there's a comment here from Bush that says, Jose said there's a campaign against Chelsea. And I understand Chelsea fans thinking there is a campaign against them. But let's have it right. In my personal opinion, journalists are not just looking for dirt on City and Chelsea. There will be journalists at all times, at all these major outlets, looking for dirt on all the top teams. They'll be looking for dirt on Liverpool. They'll be looking for dirt on Man United. And how do we know this? Anthony gets arrested last year for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend. And within weeks, look at the stories the media managed to get out about the club sending a doctor to hotel rooms, etc. It's not as though the media are protecting Man United in that circumstance. But, oh, no, we can't report anything bad about them. Man United, one of our greatest legends, okay, was exposed almost essentially illegally in Parliament over the shutting down of a story about him cheating on his wife, with his brother's wife. Now, I'm not comparing the scenarios as being identical, but to act as though it's only Chelsea and City that the media go after is an absolute lie. And if Arsenal were doing this, if Man United were doing this, if Liverpool were doing this, at some point the truth will out. But to break this down in terms of the payments Marina has received, it says this here. It says that less than a month after she became the chief executive of the club in October 24, the British Virgin Islands registered, I think it's called Overton Worldwide, owned by Abramovich, agreed to make 3 loans to Marina worth combined £12.5 million, documents in the leak have revealed. According to the credit agreements, 2 of the loans dated November 2014, and they worth a combined 7.5 million, were to finance the purchase of a property. Less than 6 months later, land registry filings show that Marina bought a home in London for 5 million. At least 7.5 million of the debt that Roman was due to be waived under subsequent debt forgiveness deeds. So she didn't pay a lot of that back. And what they're stating in the court is that they're going to be questioning her, like, why were you paid this money offshore? Why was Roman giving you this money and writing it off this way? And again, she might turn around in court and say, because he's my friend and he was just lending me money. But at the same time, that's probably not going to wash at this level. It does feel as though she was being paid money on the side as opposed to being paid money through the club, because it would have impacted financial fair play because you can only spend a certain amount of money. And it's all these little dealings that need to be looked at. And they do, because whether you like FFP or not, the club's agreed to it. And to then go and circumvent it and break it, for me, is wrong in every single which way, shape, and form. And I think there's a lot going wrong at Chelsea at the moment. mean, I did a Chelsea group chat today, and some of the Chelsea fans, LB, are saying, I'm going to laugh so much in the summer when we raise hundreds of millions through selling people and we're all okay. Do you think some Chelsea fans are living in a little bit of cloud cuckoo land right now?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, we spoke about it before. You know, the Chelsea need to raise what they reckon potentially up close to 200 million quid.
200 million, yeah.
By end of June. Now, given the fact the season ends at the end of May, that's what, 1 month to get 200 million quid in, and you know, you've got to get it in with players who have low book value, so it's all profit. I mean, that seems pretty tough. If you listen to the experts, the people that know what they're talking about, the people who know about the finances, a lot of these guys are saying that Chelsea are pretty much going to get done this summer, this autumn, and they're going to get a points deduction. Now, again, how serious is that going to be? Now, you know, Forest, what did they breach? 30 odd million quid. They got 4 points, 6 points, but they got 2 knocked off for cooperating. If let's say Chelsea managed to raise 100 million, right, in that month. Let's just say, for argument's sake, they managed to raise 100 million in a month, right? So there'd be what? They'd be 100 million over. Is that serious? Is that a serious breach? This is one of the problems that we have. We don't know what the serious breaches are because they've not told us. Now, if that's a serious breach, they could get kicked out. Now, I would say, I don't think going from 100 million to 30 million is serious enough to be kicked out. Just in my personal opinion, everyone else has got their own opinion, but they're going to get a massive points deduction if they're not careful. And I do feel that maybe some Chelsea fans, because obviously they had Roman for so long and they were so secure and so safe. Maybe they're still living under that illusion. It's different times. You know what I mean? These rules are here and they're coming after everyone. You know what I mean? They're not just coming after City. They're not just coming after Chelsea. You know what I mean? My club's getting it big time. We'll find out what happens to my club maybe at the end of the year, whatever. Chelsea are going to get it, and everyone else who breaks even teams that are not even in the league, Leicester, they're getting it. So, you know, at the end of the day, the one thing I would say for Chelsea is, and this might not be any sort of, help for them, but like, their club is mid, so it doesn't really like impact them that much. You know what I mean? Like, my club's fighting for Premier League titles, right? So if my club gets a 20-point deduction or a 30-point deduction, that's going to make me kind of sad, man, because I'm going to be, we're probably not going to win the league then this year. If Chelsea get a 20-point deduction or a 30-point deduction, they'll just be a mid-table team again. That'll be 3 years on the road. It don't really change anything.
Hang on,
They go down,
LB, you made a faux. If you took 20 points off of them now, they'd be in the relegation zone.
No, Terry, I did something very generous. I assumed that they'd get better next year. that's what I assumed.
This is the thing, right? And again, this is where I look at this, and I'm a bit more like you, LB. I hope they don't get in major trouble. I hope they sort this all out, because the fans will suffer. And although some fans are insufferable, overall they don't deserve this. But let's just say they do raise the 200 million. That's 200 million to not foul FFP PSR. How are they spending then to improve the squad?
Well,
that's why they're screwed.
Because then they're going to lose again. If they do end up with a points deduction through either breaching or through the alleged cheating that they've grasped themselves up for, that stops you again from being able to attract people. That means less income will potentially come in, meaning you're even closer again to the PSR elements. And numbers that I run after last week's show, I looked at their average over the last 5 years. And although they've spent above the average in the last couple, you also had the COVID years, which kind of even it out, really. They have to either increase their income by nearly 300 million a year, which would put them above City and Real Madrid in terms of income, or decrease their spending on players and salaries by over 300 million in that time. Now, if they are able to sell 200 million pounds worth of players, that's also going to reduce the wage bill. So that's going to help them in that area. But they've also got to increase it again to improve the squad with quality players and experienced players, which means they're going to be well over the 70% rule that's come in, because you can't spend above 70%. And they're currently, so City, for instance, are spending about 85% of their money on players and salaries. You could reduce that 15. Man United are about 77%, 7% got to take off. Arsenal currently at 74%. 4% reduction is all you need. Chelsea are currently spending 148% of their turnover on salaries and buying players, which means it's the amount they've got to cut back is crazy. And I'm sitting here as a neutral, a rival, maybe not a neutral, and looking at it, and I'm thinking to myself, how are Chelsea fans so relaxed about this when you factor in all these problems? Then you see this article, and all I'm seeing from Chelsea fans online is them slamming it. I saw some Chelsea aggregators share it, and they were, barring one, they were all basically threatened and attacked online and bullied, and they've all deleted it. I'm like, why? You shouldn't be deleting these conversations. You should be having them, because burying your head in the sand is going to kill your football club. Genuinely, it's going to kill Chelsea Football Club if they continue in this vein. It really is.
Facts,
It's
man.
weird.
Absolute facts. And I think as well, what's mad is it's not all the fan base. There's a lot of Chelsea fans I know that are like, we're in the shit, and this isn't going to get good. There's a lot of them that are not, and it's like it's been a great 2 decades, and it's going to continue. Now, unless things completely change, I can't see Chelsea picking up more than a couple of cups in the next few years, if they're lucky. Yeah, they're not going to be going at titles again like they used to, Champions League like they used to. Look at the state of them. And you've just explained why they can't spend money. They're trying to sell players that are absolute guff, by the way. These players they're trying to get rid of, nobody will want them. Who the hell's going to be lining up and going, right, that Conor Gallagher, get him in my midfield because he's going to take us to the next level? That's going to be a squad player for someone at best, unless he goes to Palace like he did on loan and tears it up. They're not going to pay 60 million for this guy. Trevor Chalobah, they want to get 25, 30 million for him. Nobody should be paying that. That's for sure. Yeah? This Broja guy who can't get in at Fulham, on TalkSport, they said they want 30 to 40 million for this guy. What the hell's going on here? Who's paying that for him? The guy scored 7 million at his best, 7 goals, at his best season at Southampton. These are crap players, mate. And, like, I love Don, but Don's sending me loads and loads of messages about compilations of Nicholas Jackson, how he's a good player. Sorry, bro, I'm used to Drogba in your team, not this guy. Yeah? Mudryk. I'm used to Arjen Robben or Joe Cole or Hazard, not this guy. So I think sometimes they need a bit of a wake-up call.
Don at the moment, I love Don to bits, but he is coping hard. The copium coursing through his veins is so potent, it could light a small town for a week. Honestly, and maybe even heat it, because
I love him as well, but I'm just like, wow, how are you?
He's right about some of these things, but it's almost just the walk. Someone here says, Terry, you're just desperate for Chelsea fans to be worried. Yeah, I am. I am desperate for them to be worried, because that worry will lead to scrutiny. That scrutiny will lead to change. If you just bury your head in the sand, and yes, there's arguments about the tickets and should you or should you not criticize Poch, that stuff is small fry. That is a side dish. That is corn on the cob in a bowl, a bit of butter on top, bit of seasoning. We are looking here at the juicy steak. And that is the fact that you have got these big FFP problems, and you have got these big allegations that you have broken rules. The reason I brought it up
was because that's what some of them are like. So they're like that with these guys. This is a completely different convo I've just brought up. But that's what some of the fan base are like. It's all good. We got Mudryk. It's all good. We got Jackson. They're going to come good. It's just Poch. When we get another manager, we'll get towards the cities and Uniteds and Liverpools and Arsenal. I don't think they will. Like, let's be real. I just don't think they will. So that's that side of it. This side, I mean, they're going to bury their head in the side because it's their Roman. It's their beautiful Roman.
Well, that's it's crazy, and it's do you know what the nickname is for Don on the channel at the minute with all the Chelsea stuff going on? They call him Condom. I love the terrace. Bush here says, Terry, why would you want the best for Chelsea? You are an Arsenal fan on loan.
And you're very welcome, Terry, by the way. You're very welcome.
No, I am welcome. I'll be on loan. But this is why, Bush, because all of our clubs are built by the working classes of the towns and the cities that they belong to respectively. And I care about the continuation of those football clubs beyond the love of my own club, not just because of the football club itself, but the surrounding environment, the local businesses and the people that depend upon it. And if we suddenly allow the Wild West to take over, ironically with all these American owners, to take over football, you put the football clubs at risk, which puts the local areas at risk. And I care about the communities of which they're in, even if I'm not from them. And the reason why I stand up for it is my dad taught me something when I was a kid. It's not his saying, but he taught me it, which was, if not me, who? If not now, when? And I don't like the way Chelsea are being run right now and what's going on. I don't like how Man United were being run. I didn't like what the Cronkies were doing a few years ago to Arsenal. And I call it out because one day it could be my club. One day it could be me. And I don't believe in turning a blind eye to this sort of stuff. So I do care about Chelsea. If you guys decide you're going to be okay and you're going to bury your heads in the sand and it all goes wrong, we're here. We'll have the shoulder for you to cry on, but you can help stop this type of thing now. You can help stop this thing by demanding answers. Complaining about the ticket prices, I think that's the least of your worries. Like, you're putting the ticket prices up because you've got to raise your income. But that's what you should be asking why, not it's a disgrace. It's like you're scratching on the surface of the problems, but you're not doing a deep dive. And there's something called the 5 whys. Generally, if you ask the question why 5 times, you'll get to the root cause of the problem. So why are you putting up the ticket prices? Whatever their answer is, you keep saying why to it and dig deeper, and you'll know what it is. They need to dramatically increase the incoming and reduce the outgoing just to fit in with the new 70% rule, let alone everything else that's going on. So you're not being told the truth by your football club, and maybe I'm wrong, but I care. I do care personally.
Well, Terry, just before we move off that, like the thing that I would say, because some Chelsea fans, like they won't really care. You know what I mean? Like, you get some football fans that they'll watch their club, whatever the league they're in, so they're not really asked about this. But the fans that are sort of like just in denial, would you not just look at the fact that like Forest have just been done, Everton have just been done, Leicester have just been done. Your football club spent £1 billion on transfers, and you've not got Champions League revenues, and the £70 million COVID thing has now dropped off as well. Would you not just look at that and go, maybe we are in trouble? Like, I don't know. For me, that just seems like a pretty like reasonable sort of question to ask yourself. If you think that you can spend £1 billion and not have Champions League football and have the £70 million grace from the COVID drop off and still be fine, fair dues, maybe that's right. But I just look at that and go, it looks pretty dodgy to me.
Yeah, and again, with the new 70% rule, a few people saying, did it go through? Well, the Premier League announced they were going to marry up, and someone here said, why did the FA change the rules? The FA didn't change the rules. The Premier League clubs voted for the change in that rule because and it actually makes sense. There's no point the Premier League having a completely different model to UEFA. That can become confusing. The Premier League and UEFA should marry up. That way, you know that you can't spend more than 70% of your turnover on anything connected to your players, wages, agent fees, transfer fees. It's essentially a wage cap that has been brought in, which I think is absolutely fair. If you want to spend more, you get your money up. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. It's not about losing. It's about stopping clubs losing money and running up debts they cannot afford that could lead to them going out of business. I think it's a very sensible thing for us to do. Terry, why not go on loan to City? Because I don't want City doing a 4P and completing a piece of history that will never be matched by another English team ever in my lifetime. It's all self-serving about my club, Man United. That's all it's about, my friend. It's no disrespect. If it was City going to stop Arsenal in a 4P, I'd back City. There's no personal, there is a personal agenda, and that's what's best for my football club at the end of the day. Some super chats here. First one says, Etihad IPO.
Oh, yeah. That's potentially happening, which they reckon could be good news for City. They'll have to release all their accounts, so they reckon that could be interesting.
When you say, is that Etihad Airways, you mean?
Etihad Airways, yeah.
Okay. Then we'll find out who really owns it. It could be good. It could. Well, I mean, it could and it couldn't be. It's one of those weird things. It depends on what it exposes. But yeah, well, we know who owns it anyway. Someone is blowing on the House of Cards that is the Premier League. Do you guys think this is going to damage the Premier League overall, or do you think this will strengthen it?
No, it'll damage it for sure. There's no question about that. I mean, you can't have a situation, right, where all these clubs are getting dot points, you know what I mean? And you now got teams in lower divisions being dot points for when they get promoted. You've got Leeds fans asking questions about, well, hang on a minute, you know what I mean? If we would have broke the rules, then maybe we would have stayed up and still been in the Premier League. It's a complete and utter mess. I don't know where they go from here. I've seen Simon Jordan. He's saying that they should potentially suspend the rules while they work out how these are implemented properly. I don't know where you go, but it's like Daly in the chat says, it's a complete farce. It really is, you know what I mean? And if these time limits are not adhered to, for the likes of Everton and Forest who are going for these appeals, you could, in theory, have a situation where the league ends in May And a couple of weeks later, the points are knocked off, and someone else gets relegated. It's just completely stupid.
That's
man.
why it has to be these points deductions has to be the next season, man. You can't start mucking around with like, oh yeah, I know you went down, but now your points are getting knocked back, so you're going to go back up. They're going to now go down. You can't do that.
But
man.
Dan, the problem with that rule is, which I understand why you're saying that, but the problem with that rule is, what about if my team gets relegated, and then the team that stayed up gets a point deduction because they cheated? And if that points deduction would have been given in that season, my club would have been playing Premier League football instead of playing Championship football.
I see it the other way. I don't see it.
Nah.
I don't really see it as a farce. I see it as it's frustrating now because it's all going on. It feels like a mess. But I think it's going to help fix things. And when I talk about fixing things, I think the league's in a pretty good state. I think people every few years you get someone that goes, football's dead. People have been saying that since the 60s. Still fucking here. Like I'm not buying into that. I think it's going to get the price of players down, which I think is good for everybody, because I mean, it's with no disrespect to Declan Rice because he's been worth the money, but no DM should cost 100 million quid. And that's not a dig at Declan Rice. It's just how it should be. Top class DMs used to sell for 15 million pound a decade ago. Now suddenly they're going for 100 odd million. It's all gone crazy.
It's not even just the position though, Tell. Just quickly on that point. It's not even the position. It's the fact that you are saying that the player of Caicedo, who's won nothing in football, and Declan Rice, who has won nothing in football, let's not disrespect the Europa Conference League thing, but he's won that at the ages of that, what they are, and you're saying to them, you're two of the most expensive footballers on the planet right now. What? You haven't done anything. What is going on?
Yeah, but it's a seller's market, though. It's a seller's market. Like, what are you going to do, Dan? You're going to start telling clubs how much you can sell the players for?
Well, that's what Terry said. That's what I mean. I don't know how you get.
I do understand that, but what's ended up happening is sometimes the sort of greed, if you want to call it greed, has bit them in the backside. So, now we've got all this new TV money. We're not selling our best striker to Chelsea for 25, 30 million anymore. We're charging 100 million. So that end up going through. You get your 100 million. And you turn around to replace him and maybe buy a couple of other players, and everybody goes, right, in totality, we want 130 million for all these players. It becomes a knock-on effect. And that's why the Forests and the Evertons and the Leicesters, who, by the way, tried to be successful, went for it, failed, and they've been deducted points. Newcastle, I don't like calling what they're doing a failure because I think they're in a fairly long plan. But this season has been a failed season. Nobody expected them to be where they are in the league this year. If they hadn't have dropped off as they did and they were back in the Champions League, they wouldn't have to sell Isak and potentially Bruno in the summer to not breach FFP. They would continue growing and growing and growing, but they've had a setback year and it impacts them. For me, I think what this is going to do, I think it's going to lead to players being paid less and transfer fees being less, and the income of the league will stay the same. Therefore, no one's going to overspend. It will, I think, sort itself out, because sometimes in life it takes punishment. Sometimes I'm training my dog at the minute with a police dog handler, and the training sometimes is brutal, the noises he makes. But the difference in my dog in the space of 3 training sessions is absolutely ridiculous. But sometimes it takes a little bit of a punishment as opposed to a treat being waved under your nose to make you do the right thing. And I think that tough love is needed. Clubs need to be punished if they're breaking rules. It will make everybody start to reduce their spending because they'll know, well, if I start charging too much for players, I'm going to be overcharged. That could lead, if this fails, to me breaching. And if I breach, I'm going to lose points. So therefore, let me charge the right amount of money for Kudos this summer, which is about 50 million pounds, rather than trying to get 120 million pounds for him, plus agent fees and everything else. So I don't necessarily see it as a farce or damaging football or house of cards. The finances behind the Premier League are still strong. It's not as though the TV companies are saying, we're pulling all our money away. And even if Chelsea or City or both were kicked out the Premier League, the TV companies are still going to pay relatively the same amount of money.
Can I question you on that then, Terry? Because you like the Brighton model. But does that, what you've just said, seems to go against what Brighton are doing, which is buy low, sell high. But then, as you're seeing now, they are spending more money on the players that they're bringing in than they were a few years ago. So does that not, if you're Brighton, say what you just said happens, which I'm not sure it will, but let's just say it does. Do you not look at Brighton and go, well, they might actually get in a little bit of problems in a few years because that model won't happen anymore?
So I look at it. It's a really good challenge, and I view it this way. And now we know what we know. So I think the Brighton model really works, but I still think they have to temper how much they're charging for players as well, because eventually what happens is, and maybe they've got away with it for a few years, a little bit like Liverpool did at the start of Klopp, where they were picking up gems for little amounts of money. And then you realize, hang on, Liverpool are seeing something in this player that maybe we're not. So now the premiums have gone up for those players. And if the Brighton premiums start going up, they're not able to buy as many of these young players. So sometimes you've got to be a little bit careful. So I agree. I think that the Brighton model works to a certain point, but if you get too greedy at the top end, it could end up biting you in the arse on the bottom end. And then there isn't as much profit being made on players. And I do think this will temper a lot of club spending in the short to medium term. So I think their model works. The difference between them, though, and the others is the others have sold for a lot of money, and then they've gone and spent ridiculous amounts of money, and they're spending. I was actually looking at Everton's the other day. Everton are spending over 100% of their turnover on players. So under this new model, they've got to get it right down where Brighton are still living within their means. However, I still think there needs to be an element of control put in place over the valuation of players. Now, again, at the end of the day, it's a seller's market. And if Man City are prepared to pay £200 million for a player this summer and it's affordable, fair enough. But the seller has to start to understand that it's going to have a knock-on effect on them in the future as well. Just the same as buying and selling houses. It was fun for our parents' age group who were making all this money selling their homes and downsizing. But all that's actually done further on along down the line is damage their grandchildren that can't get on the property ladder. Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like the same thing will happen in football if we're not careful. But it's a much easier thing to resolve because people don't live in players. Do you know what I mean? You can lower the valuation quite quickly. So I think
some Twitter users do. I fucking tell you that for I tell you that for nothing, mate.
Some would love to. I've seen some of their profiles. They'd be writing those players if they could. But yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm very, very intrigued to see the direction this goes in. Viewers, let us know what you think and what you feel. Kai here says self-snitching means that they are trying to hide and hoping the bits they admit to will distract everyone from noticing the serious crimes they don't want anyone to find.
Well, we don't know, do we? This is the thing that no one actually knows what's going on here. You know what I mean? Nobody knows. We'll have to wait and see, man.
Now, my criminal record is nothing to brag about. There's nothing impressive on there, right? But took that line from Rocky. I haven't really got one. I don't think that's what people do that commit crimes. If you, for instance, say I've got a house and it's full of stolen goods, but they're hidden in a hidden sort of Fritzl basement and nobody knows exist, right? To put the police off the scent, by the way, when they're not sniffing around. So the police don't even know that I do anything. Me inviting them into my home to go, guys, I need to admit that a few months ago, I smashed my next door neighbor's window and I've also been stealing sandwiches from Tesco's, and they invite them into my house and telling them this. All that's going to do is make them sniff around and they might find things I don't want. So I don't buy it, Kai. I just don't believe you invite trouble when there's no trouble surrounding you. If that makes sense.
You don't
do it.
Imagine going, no, listen to how silly it sounds, bro. Like you're literally like the CEO of Chelsea, right? And you go to your lawyers, right? Because that's what any CEO does when they're at like a big corporation and go, lads, right? I found all this BS in the background. Yeah, we've been frauding the gaff for years and years and years. How about this for a plan? I'm gonna tell them that we've done something slightly wrong over here. Get done for that, and then they'll think we've admitted everything. No lawyer is going to sign that off, mate. No one's doing that.
They're going to tell you straight away, shut up. What they've been told by their lawyers is, I think they've looked at City's case. I think, obviously, Premier League clubs probably have far more insight to what's going on than what the media see and what we see ahead of time. And they probably looked at it and said, if we don't make Champions League football, we could be in trouble. We know City are in some trouble, potentially. We see these other clubs are in trouble. We've found these anomalies. The advice probably was, let's admit to this stuff to get in some good graces. So if we're punished, the punishment is softened. And we've seen that with the Forest situation. I see Everton fans kicking off every day about it online, but Forest just cooperated, gave in all the documents, even though their loss was bigger, their punishment has been less. That's all this is from Chelsea. Again, I wouldn't start going down the conspiracy theory that there's bodies buried under the grass or anything crazy. Like, again, no one, like serial killers don't invite the police around their house. They don't do it. They want you kept as far away as possible from the bodies in the wall. Do you know what I mean? I've watched enough of them films. And we all will watch a lot of, what's it called, like the real crime things now. No one invites it on themselves, really, do they?
Facts.
No one really does.
No. It's a quick
Genuinely.
question.
Sorry, go on, mate.
Let's
Go
ask
on,
a
mate.
quick one. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. I don't know in the chat see it. Did anyone see Ipswich Town's latest set of accounts where they've included at the bottom of their accounts their running basically FFP or PSR totals and how much basically they're under or over by? Like really, really good innovation on and like you can so everyone can see. Oh, they're telling us exactly crystal clearly. That's how much we're under. That's how much we're over. Obviously, if they're over the breach. Like I think that it should be included in everyone's. To be honest.
No, I think it makes a lot. I haven't seen. I'll take a look, but it certainly makes sense to do. It's transparent, it's open, it's honest. And look, whether fans like it or not, these rules are not going anywhere. These rules are staying. And I understand when you've got an owner like City, why City fans would say, why do you need these kind of rules? It's because most owners aren't as good as yours. That's the problem. Do you know what I'm saying? It's sometimes in life you need a rule that protects, the majority rather than the minority. It's like when I go to my daughter's dance shows, no one's allowed to film. And I would hazard a guess at 95 to 99% of the parents in there, they would film it and it would never go anywhere. But there's always that chance. There's that 1%. Do you know what I'm saying? So in this, you need to protect. You always need to protect people. Genuinely, is football like the world at the moment? Genuinely, is football like the world at the moment? I don't know what you mean. What's wrong with the world? It's the greatest time in human history to be alive. Is it not? Well, it is if you're here. I don't know about the rest of the world, but definitely here. What do you mean by that? I know there's some parts of the world that are messed up. I hear you, but I wouldn't compare. Listen, there's some horrible parts. Let me rephrase that. There's some parts of the world that are in horrible situations, absolutely no doubt. So you can't compare football to that in any capacity. When it comes to football in England, listen, I think it's probably the greatest time to have ever been alive in England, if I'm being honest with you. So I don't think it's that bad either. Where are my flowers, Terry? Bowley is the problem. Yes, Matty, you did call Bowley out from the start when everybody was calling out Poch 110%. You did do that.
Fair, man.
Yeah, fairs.
There we go. You're saying the 70% rule didn't get, I swear the Premier League on their website announced it.
Yeah, I thought I did as well. I thought it did because it's going to the same rules as the
So
UEFA ones.
Let's just try and find it now because this guy, I mean it with respect. It gets here, Premier League profit and sustainability rules set to be replaced by as early as this summer. So it's been voted in. They just haven't put an agreement in yet. Yeah, it says it on their website. It's been voted in. I don't know where you're getting that from, my bro, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Before we move on to the big game this weekend, boys, Kobbie Mainoo is going to be starting for England tonight, they believe. What are we saying about him? Because there's been a lot of people in the last maybe week that are talking about him being overrated. I didn't watch the game live on Saturday night. I went out with my mates. And I saw his name trending. Few people saying he was at fault for the goal, and then I watched it and I was like, oh my God, they're actually lying about him already. Is it right that he's starting? What are we all saying?
Yeah, I think he's great. I like the kid. I think he's been good. I think he's been probably one of the only positives Man United can actually talk about this season. They ain't got many, have they, in the playing staff at the moment you can talk highly about. I think he's got a good ceiling, I do. And I think the potential's there, Tel. I'd rather see him getting looking in the midfield than some of the other names that we've mentioned previously. I don't want to see Calvin Phillips in there. I don't want to see Jordan Henderson in there. I'm more than happy to see we've got some, people always say, oh, it must be better than, there must be better than X, there must be better than Y. Well, now we're giving an example of someone who might be. So we've got to see this kid, and the Man United side, he looks very comfortable to me on the ball. I think he's a position that we definitely need and that England are lacking in. I don't think we've got many in that position personally that I look at and go, wow, I think from the attack perspective, we've got a lot. And obviously you've got Declan Rice, but other than Declan Rice, how many other players can play in that box-to-box midfield position? I don't think there's that many. I really don't. So I think he could be a really good player for England. And I think for club and country at that age, if you can show what you're made of, then fair play. You've got, it's got to be an exciting future for the lad. And I think it's fair play. I don't really know why people would be against this. This is a young kid who could actually show potential in an England shirt. So maybe it's because it's not their player. I don't know. Maybe it's, they're overrated. It's Man United. Man United definitely overrate their players. Marcus Rashford being one of them. But we've got to see more of this kid before we start overhyping him. I think he looks a good potential player, a good potential talent. So let's see what he's made of, man. I don't know what you think, LB, but I don't know. Maybe it's different.
I agree on the initial point. It's probably the only good thing that's come from Man United this year. That's probably fair. Listen, he's played 1,600 minutes this season, yeah, and 135 of that was in the youth league. So we need to chill out a little bit. You know what I mean?
What does that mean, though?
This,
Chill out. What are people saying? They're not saying he's the next like Vieira, are they?
people. Well, no, he's got a lot of hype around him.
Like
He's
what?
got, what do you mean? Like what? He's got so much hype around him, bro. It's crazy.
Well,
like,
give me an example, though. What example? What's that
the
example?
fact that he's going to be starting tonight against Belgium, having played 1,500 minutes of first team football, you don't think that's a little bit overhyped?
Not really. Who else is he supposed to pick?
Well, you could. James Ward-Prowse is doing a pretty good job. He could have picked him.
So it's overhyped to pick Mainoo ahead of James Ward-Prowse.
I think it's a little bit. I think it's a little bit overhyped when he's played 1,500 professional minutes to now be starting for England. Now, I'm not saying it's a wrong thing, but I'm saying clearly he's overhyped. You can't say he's not overhyped when he's starting for England having played 1,500 minutes. 1,500 minutes, bro.
Yeah, that's fair. The point is fair, but if you're saying how is this guy getting ahead of Michael Carrick, or how is this guy getting ahead of Gareth Barry, or how is this guy getting ahead of Owen Hargreaves? We don't have them players anymore, bro. This is like James Ward-Prowse, who's a set piece guy.
You're missing the point, though, bro. The point I'm trying to make here is that, like, listen, I like him. I think he's a great player, and I don't really have a problem with him being in the team. I just have a fear because this is what we love to do in this country. Yeah, as soon as anyone starts to look decent, yeah, it's oh my god, look at this player, absolutely amazing. Blah 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 blah. And what happens? They turn out to be not half as good as they are, and they get absolutely cooked. And boom, career's over. Yeah. There's so many players that you could mention. Now, I like the player. I think Kobe Mainoo's a good player, and I think the way he's on the ball, I think we actually need something like that in England. All I'm saying is be cautious. Be cautious with your hype. Be cautious with your when you're building him up, because he's young. How old is he? He's 18 years old. You think this guy's going to have a smooth trajectory like that? No. He's going to be up and down. You know what I mean? And what I'm saying is, chill out. The guy's clearly a talent. He's going to probably be in this England midfield for the next decade or more. Let's just take it easy with the hype and stuff, because I'm telling you now, as soon as he goes for a rough patch, which he will, because every player does at that age, people will be on him like that. And I won't be sitting here cooking him. I'll be sitting here saying, I told you all to chill out with your hype. And all I'm saying is, yeah, people need to calm down. He's a great player. He looks real talented, but he's played 1,500 professional minutes. And people are going on like he's the next Zidane or something. Chill out.
See, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen people calling him Zidane, man. I haven't seen that. That's all I'm saying.
No, but what I'm just saying is, bro, I'm just saying calm down. Do you know what I mean? Take it easy. Because when he goes through a rough patch, which he will, people will want to cook him, because that's what we do in this country, bro, with sports people. But I like him. I think he's a great player. I'm buzzing to see him tonight.
You know what? I get where you're coming from. The thing is with the word overhyped, I don't know what it means anymore, in the sense of he's not being overhyped. He's being hyped because there is great talent there. I don't think there's anything wrong with hyping up talent. It's just but who is then putting the expectation on it to be smooth running? If you get where I'm coming from. So we can all watch him, and you can tell by his first touch, the way he turns on the ball, the way he passes the ball, his vision, his movement, his overarching athleticism. You can look at him and you can say, if he keeps working hard and progressing, we all know he could become a world-class player. That is not an overhyping statement. He has the tools to become one. The problem that happens is this, and I get what you're saying, be careful, but I don't think... Who is it that needs to be careful, or is it about shutting people up? And what I mean by that is this. I turn around and say he's a generational talent and could become one of the best midfielders in the world in the next 5 years. Then what happens is people go, right, I'm going to look to shit on Kobe every time he touches the ball and isn't perfect because Terry or because other Man United fans have said he's really good. That isn't Man United fans saying he's there and he's going to make it no matter what. We're saying there's the ability to get there. I don't think that's overhyping someone. I think if someone's out there now saying he's the best one of the best 2 or 3 midfielders in the Premier League, that's a crazy take to have at this moment in time. But we should be able to openly and freely speak about the talent of young players and the excitement we feel about the trajectory that they've got and where they might go, without everybody then trying to trip that player up every time they're not perfect. Like, surely praising someone's talent is the acceptable thing, and slagging off an 18-year-old when he doesn't have a perfect game in 3 weeks' time is probably the wrong thing to do, not praise how good his talent is. I don't know. And I'm doing it because it's Cobb. I've seen a lot of that recently. There's a lot of everyone keeps getting called overhyped. And I'm like, I don't even know what it means. What I used to consider overhyped was Van Dijk. Van Dijk was the best central defender in the world at his pomp. But when people were saying that he's maybe the greatest ever after one top season in the Premier League, I said, now you're overhyping it a little bit, because you can't say he's greater than people that did it for a decade when he's been at that level for 1 year. That would make sense to me. But no one's really overhyping Mainoo. We're just saying how talented he is and how much we want to see him given an opportunity for England. Because we all watched Conor Gallagher the other day. I don't want to see that again.
You know, somebody in this chat is saying, "Oh, Seedorf, what comparison to Seedorf? That's mad. If people are doing that, right? That is mad." But
that's not what anyone did. What they've sort of said is, and it was Rio Ferdinand who first said it. He went, all Rio said is,
surprise.
No, but he didn't do it. But he didn't. Again, this was all he said. He goes, he gives me glimpses of Seedorf in terms of some of the little things he does remind me of him. That is not saying a player is as good. It's like when I said this. Erling Haaland is the best young finisher we've seen in Europe, factually, since R9. That is not me saying he's as good a football player as R9. Now, idiots in the comment section will twist it and go, Terry thinks Haaland's as good as R9. Never said that once. That's all that they've done to Rio. Rio has said he reminds me of a player because of this little thing. For me, I didn't say Seedorf. He gives me Scholes vibes in terms of how comfortable he is on the ball and how he looks all the time in the world. That isn't saying he's as good as Scholes now. It's just, and we all get reminded by older players when we see new young players come through. But as you said, what happens is Rio says it gets twisted. By the time it gets back to Dan,
that is why I did.
Man United fans are saying that he's as good as Seedorf, and no one said that.
That's why people think he's overhyped then, because people are putting him in brackets of Scholes and Seedorf. They're not putting in terms of, like, people hear that. They hear Scholes and go, oh my God, they think he's Scholes. Seedorf, oh my God, they think he's Seedorf. Whereas if you looked at what I said, I was like, I think he looks quite a good box-to-box midfielder. I've been quite impressed with the early signs. Oh my God, overhyped. That's not overhyped. That's just saying I've been quite impressed. He's got a long way to go. He's 18.
Yeah, mate.
Oh, is he gone?
Oh, Dan's frozen again.
Jesus. Like, so...
Nah, his internet's tripping, man. His internet's tripping. Nah, listen, it is what it is. We'll have to see what happens with me. The only reason I'm sort of like saying this is because England needs someone like a Mainoo in the team. Maybe not right now, maybe not in the Euros, but like in future years, we need someone with his ball ability. Sounds weird, but like, you know what I mean? His ability on the ball, that's better. To move around, you know what I mean? The way he can control it, the way he can sit back and sit next to Rice if we're under a bit of pressure. He can maybe join the attack going forward a little bit as well. And he's under a lot of pressure, man. He's under a lot of pressure because now, you know, he's thrown him in there at the deep end, which is, you know, fair dues. It's up to the manager to do that. But also, you look at him at United, he's one of United's best performing players this year. Yeah, I mean, and next year there's going to be an expectation on him to go on and kick on again and get even better. And anyone that knows football just knows that usually young players' careers don't just go up in a straight line. I just feel that like we need to manage him carefully, both England and Man United.
Mate, that element is spot on, and you know, especially players that sort of play midfield and back. You know, look at Trent. I actually think Trent Alexander-Arnold's defending in the last 12 months has really improved. But then he's only just now hitting his mid-20s, which is when most defenders start to mature. Yet we've been judging him as a defender since he was 18, and to a degree, rightfully so, because he's a defender. But we're judging him before we normally judge top-class defenders. It was because of his ball-playing ability. Like, if Trent didn't have his passing range and crossing range, he may still have become the right-back for Liverpool, but he wouldn't have been the right-back for Liverpool at 18. It was, do you know what I'm saying? And it may be about being fair. And I know I'm guilty a little bit of that. But now maybe it's just this week. This week's been crazy. I've seen Premier League greatest teams of all time with one or no Man United players in. I've seen people voting Fergie as the third and fourth best manager of all time. I saw a whole day yesterday where people were calling Thierry Henry overhyped and overrated. And maybe all of that combined is making me look at my own self and go, do you know what? Maybe I've not even been fair to rivals in the past.
It's an international break, man. People are bored.
Yeah, partly, but I'm just looking at it. It's like one of my suggestions, and I would love to get your opinion on this, boys, actually, slightly off subject, was, do you think now when we do Premier League teams, the greatest of all time, we should split it into two halves, like the first 15 years versus the last
Eras.
15 years, because it's been so long now, because there are people that are saying no to Giggs who are 18 years old. Well, he retired when you were 8, which means you never saw him play in his pomp. How can you possibly know? Because I don't believe, especially if you're not a Man United fan, and even then I don't believe you. I don't believe you've gone back and watched even 10 games, let alone 100 games to really know.
No, all you have to do is just tell people when you started watching football. Like, you know what I mean? Just say, I've been watching football since 2003. This is my team. I've been watching football for the last 5 years because, I don't know, you might be like 14 or something. You know what I mean? You might be in college, school, whatever. Or I've been watching football since the Premier League. You know what I mean? And do whatever. I just feel like you can't expect someone, right, who's 20 years old, right? So realistically, they can only really remember maybe the last 10 years, yeah? Because you don't really remember too much before you're 10, right? So you can't really expect them to say, oh, yeah, back in fucking 1997. Like that, you can't really expect them. And the only way, really, you can put those players in the team is if you've seen them. Like Terry said, you can't just go and watch 2-minute highlights of Ryan Giggs or whoever, you know what I mean, 3 or 4 games and go, yeah, I'm going to put him in my all-time. You can only do it off what you've seen. So I just say, like, this is my team. I started watching football from around 2003. That's mine. That's when I first started, like, not first, but that's when I was, like, properly watching football, 2003. So I would then not put any player in from before 2003. Why would I? It makes no sense.
No, I agree with that. But then I think, again, maybe I'm being too pernickety with it, but I think it's just fair. It stops you getting challenged, not you personally, but state what years it's from. And then people, if you literally, someone did a team of the greatest team ever, and it was from 2010 until now, and it included a lot of City and Liverpool players, nobody would question it. But like, there's a Liverpool fan here that did one, and maybe he's young, big Liverpool account. And he's got 6 Liverpool players in the greatest Premier League team of all time. And I'm thinking, how can that possibly be with only 1 title in that time? You can't, like, sometimes as much as you love your own team, this is why I think it should be, I think if there's going to be 1 or 2 teams that are heavily represented, it's got to be City and Man United. Whatever era you do it in, if it's in this era, it's City. And do you know why? You know City's, most of their players should be in the best team. Because they've won it the most. It's like there's an actual, like, the tests have been done, 38 games a season. We know who the best were. It's crazy to me, but yeah.
Also, the formations are changing as well, man. Because like old school 4-4-2, 4-4-2. No, but most people would put 1 striker up front now. If you said to the majority of people, do a combined 11, they put 1 striker and they'd have 3 in midfield. And how long ago were we? I was growing up, but it was 4-4-2, 4-3-3. Everyone was like, what the hell is this formation here? What the hell are they doing?
And you look at it this way. I remember seeing this when Mane was killing it. And I'm a big fan of Mane. They compare his numbers to Giggs. But Mane's an inside forward who plays alongside the striker. Giggs' starting position was 30 to 40 yards deeper as the left-sided midfielder. Why are you comparing their numbers? Just because they both play on the left-hand side. What's crazy is fullbacks in today's game play a closer position to the left midfielders and right midfielders of the 90s and noughties. So if you're going to compare numbers, if you're going to do that, you should be looking at fullbacks more than you're looking at inside forwards. And even then, there's still differences. So yeah, I think the era split has got to come in, because it just, I don't know, for me, it's not
like
about...
Kevin De Bruyne. Everyone will go, Kevin De Bruyne is in, 100% he's in. Well, it depends what formation you're playing, because if you're playing 4-4-2, you can't put Kevin De Bruyne, you've got to then force him on the wing or something. So you can't really put him as a box-to-box midfielder, can you? So he then misses out. It's like, how do people do this? Like,
yeah, but you also don't. When you're doing it, when you're doing an 11, you're not doing it as like this is an actual team to play. Like you do it as like.
That's how I do mine. 11. I do mine for functionality as well. So I actually want it to work.
Nah, I don't do it. I just pick mine as like best players in that position.
Because I get that someone did one the other day, greatest players of all time, and they had Maradona and Pele as essential midfielders, and I'm like, see, you can't just shoehorn them in midfield. It don't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I have some structure to it. Like they actually have to play there, but like I don't really care about like, who's going to be doing the defending out my 2 midfielders. I'm just kind of like, these are.
No, I hear that. I hear that. I like a little bit of functionality to it. But in fairness, if I was doing a 4-4-3 overall, best Premier League 11 ever, KDB would be in mine alongside Scholes and Keane. Those 3 together would be my picks. I got a City player in there. I put Carl Walker at right back. I've succumbed to that one. See, for me, I'd actually put Yap Stam in. You know, for me still. I know he's only here a few years, but that man was ridiculous
It
for a
was
few
incredible,
years.
man. It was incredible.
He was great. But I think what I went with the team I made, I put Rio next to Sol Campbell. A lot of people were offended I put Sol Campbell in it. I'm like, you guys don't realize Sol Campbell in the 90s and noughties in his pomp was crazy. I left back, I went with Ashley Cole.
Yeah, that's obvious.
And then up front, I mean, I still don't know how people can argue with Ronaldo not being on the right. What he did this guy was a genuine Ballon d'Or winner, the only one the Premier League has had. I believe. Well, I think Michael Owen got it as well, actually, to be fair. But I think with Ronaldo on the right, with Henry on the left, and then Rooney in the middle, that was my team. So, yeah. So
see, because if you actually did it off, that's because if you think about it, like if you're just going off the best player, like as a best striker, Shearer would get in over Rooney because he has the numbers. He has the numbers over Rooney.
Yeah.
But if you think about who's the better football player, then obviously Rooney
Shearer has the numbers on Rooney in terms of goals, but then I also think if Rooney had been played just as a pure out and out number 9 at Man United for 15 years, I think he'd have scored more than him. It was that Rooney was played in the 10, he was moved out wide. And I look at my team, though. I generally think my team would win the Premier League every year. I don't see anyone ever beating it, no matter what team you put together.
I broke up with the Wi-Fi. Who did you say you put up front, Sol?
Henry on the left, Ronaldo on the right, and Rooney in the middle.
Okay. So Giggs is out of yours as well.
Only because, I mean, it's because again that was a 4-3-3 because Giggs isn't an inside forward. If I'm doing a 4-4-2, Giggs is on the left hand side at 110% because that's where he plays. That was just on. Again, I think the formation you pick and the area that I think all these things have to be taken into consideration. But I just did it on the 4-3-3 because everybody else was. Yes, that's good. Gary, I appreciate being the first subscriber of the creative you've ever subscribed to. I appreciate that, brother. I want to say a big shout out to our title sponsors today, actually, who are Brick House Nutrition. Now, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Brick House Nutrition, especially you boys that are actually on the panel as well. Now, Brick House Nutrition, where's the box? Here it is. This stuff, right? Genuinely, I had a really bad year on my health last year. I've got what they call I always call it a hypodermic hernia. It's not. It's called a hiatus hernia. And gives me a lot of bad stomach issues. So this year I've done a little bit of a man like Eddie. I started eating a lot of whole foods, eating a lot better. I love that guy, but that's really helped me. But when it comes to supplementing that, this is where Brick House comes in. This stuff here is absolutely amazing. And it's amazing because it's organic. It's just fruit and veg in here, powdered down that you mix into your water. It's absolutely phenomenal. And it comes with basically a lifetime guarantee. And what Brick House say is that if you don't feel better, if your doctor doesn't tell you that you're looking healthier, if your hair's not getting thicker, and by the way, Dan, amazing for your hair, thickness of the hair's on it. If you don't start feeling better, they'll give you your money back. It comes with a full money back guarantee. As you all can see, I'll open it up. I drink this stuff every day, about 2 or 3 pints of this a day. 1 scoop in a pint of water, that is, not pints of this stuff, literally. It's absolutely amazing. So viewers, go and check it out. Go onto the website. You can scan the QR code. The products I take are Field of Greens. It's their organic range, as you can see here. Pure organic superfoods, all crushed down into a supplement. There's no crud. There's no additives. There's no nonsense. There's no sugar. Go and check it out now. My health has been absolutely amazing. Averaging 10 hours a night sleep now compared to 7 hours when I first started on this health kick that I'm on. It's absolutely phenomenal. So go and check them out. You get a 15% discount and free shipping if you use promo code SQUAD. All that information is in our description or pinned into our live comment section. If you can't see the live comment section, I'll post it again live now. But go and check out Field of Greens by Brick House Nutrition. As it's a great supplement, but it isn't, as I say, it's not full of crap, isn't full of nonsense, isn't promising to make you big and muscly. It is just going to make you healthier and give you far more nutrition. And all the ingredients they use are designed to make your liver, your kidneys, and more importantly, your heart really strong and healthy. And you maybe can beat me. My current resting heart rate, 52, which is absolutely phenomenal. This and the diet I'm on has been a big part of that. It's got it down by nearly 15 beats per minute. And that is what I focus on rather than anything else. And as I say, it's all organic. There's nothing in there that's crap at all. So go and check it out. Boys, big game this weekend. Huge game this weekend for both your teams. Arsenal travel to the Etihad. And I won't see you boys probably between now and then. From your point of view, Dan, How are you feeling about it? And could Arsenal end City's Premier League season this weekend?
Wow, it's mad, isn't it? Because I was like, we've got ages until this game. It comes around quickly. Everyone's going to be talking about it this week. It's going to be a massive, massive game. I think people are calling it the game of the season and weekend of the season, and I can see why. I think LB and I will be praying that Brighton can try and do the unthinkable and take something off of Liverpool. And if they do, makes the game even more bigger than it already is. I think the main thing for me is who's fit, who's starting, because of this internationals, you never quite know because they're not quite over yet. If anyone's going to...
That's the sound of Arsenal's season crumbling in front of your eyes, folks. There it is.
Oh, Danny boy, it's gone. You need to get an Ethernet cable, plug it into your laptop. Ethernet cable, no more Wi-Fi.
I'm back. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back now. You're back.
Oh man, this is driving me insane today, this Wi-Fi, man. Yeah, I think it will be for me. I pray that we've got both 11s fit. That's what I pray. I pray Man City and Arsenal have got the best 11. I just want to see this game and see what we're about, because Man City were crying because Rodri was out. We had Saka out. We have a Party and Jesus out last season playing these guys. Let's just actually see what the best 11 versus the best 11 look like, and go all out for it, man. I think Man City can be got at. I think if Arsenal turn up the way that we have been in the away fixtures the last few weeks, I think it will be an excellent game of football. I expect to see goals. I don't expect to see this be like, oh my God, no one wants to lose this. It's going to be a 0-0. I don't think Pep or Arteta play that way. I really don't when they're at it. And I think that both guys will go for it. Can we end Man City's season? No. No. I think if we win, I think there's a good chance that we'll finish above them, and we should finish above them. Will that end their season? Probably not, because they can go and do, a treble quite easily still, even if Arsenal beat them, because this is football and things can change. So I don't think, I know LB said, I think last week, whoever loses this game is out the title race. I don't know. I don't know if they are. I think it's people are saying that because of Liverpool, but Liverpool could still drop points as well. So I think this is massive, but I don't think it means it ends one of our season. I don't think. But it's going to be difficult, man, because one of us could be 4 points off. And that's very, very hard with only 8 games left, will it be? 9 games left? So that's why it's massive. So, yeah, man, it's going to be crazy.
I think if City lose the game, I think it'd be very, very difficult for us to win the Premier League, because we've got 9 games left. We'd be 4 points behind with an inferior goal difference. So basically 5 points. 5 points in 9 games. And our next game's Villa. I just look at that and go, that's tough. That's why I say I think City need to win the game, man. A draw's not the end of the world. That'll put us on 64. Liverpool will be on 67 if they win. So, but again, it's still 4 points.
Can I ask you then, LB, who would you be more fearful of? If Arsenal beat you, would you be like, oh no, that's it, Liverpool won the league now? Or would you think Arsenal will?
I still have Liverpool as my favourites. Yeah.
Of course you do.
I do it because they've done it before, isn't it?
Yeah, no. I'm not. I wasn't meaning that as a dig. Like, no, you've always said it. No, you have always.
It's slight. It's slight.
Well, I was more meaning like, would that make you think, bloody hell, Arsenal? Wow, I didn't see that coming. That's a massive statement.
Nah, because bro, like Arsenal can. I know Arsenal's record at the Etihad is terrible, but like Arsenal can win. Arsenal can beat Manchester City this weekend. Do I think they will? No, I'm backing my team. I'm going to say City are going to win the game, but Arsenal are a good side. I mean, they've shown that time and time again against Liverpool, against City a couple of times earlier in the season. You know what I mean? This is a good football team, Arsenal. So they could win. They can win the game against City, but I just still have Liverpool there because of the fact they've done it before and the fact they've got Jurgen Klopp. You know what I mean? That's why I've got them above you. I think if we beat you, yeah, we got 66. We'll be 1 point behind Liverpool. You'll be on 64. So you'll be 3 behind Liverpool. But here's the thing: you have the better goal difference. So I still think you're actually in the race if you lose. But I just think, for me personally, if City lose, man, 5 points in 9 games, I just don't.
Okay, let me ask you this then: do you see Liverpool dropping? I know this is about Arsenal City, but obviously Liverpool massively involved in this. Do you see Liverpool dropping from any of the following? Old Trafford, Man United,
no.
Fulham at Craven Cottage,
No.
Aston Villa at Villa Park.
Yeah, potentially.
Okay, so the same as me then. I think that's probably their hardest one. I think Craven Cottage is a mad one, as well. People are like sort of thinking, "Oh, Fulham, that'll be all right because their season's done." But they've beaten us there.
Yeah, nah.
Absolutely bad Spurs there. I think I'm getting.
Nah, I'll take over. Listen, I think It's going to be a crazy one. I think City will win the game. The one thing that I would say about City, there's a couple points on City. Yeah, one, we've not seen City play like properly well pretty much all season. Like with Arsenal, yeah, you've seen Arsenal play well. Like you've seen Arsenal pretty much at their peak. Can Arsenal get any better than they were already playing a couple weeks ago? Probably not. That's probably their peak. City have been nowhere near our best. Nowhere near. Maybe 20 minutes against Copenhagen before Grealish got subbed off. Like literally, we've been just average. Now, there's pros and cons to that. The cons is like you need to improve. You know what I mean? If we play like we did against Liverpool in the second half against Arsenal, we'll lose. The pros are we're third, a point behind Arsenal and Liverpool, and we've not played nowhere near our best. So we've got to turn up. We should have a fully fit team. Obviously, we're waiting to hear fully on the Akanji news and the Walker news, but I think they'll both be okay. We're going to have a fully fit team. And listen, there's no excuses. You know, best team wins. If City win, I think City will go on to win the league. That's my opinion. I think if City win the game, I think we'll go on and win the league because I think we could then go and win the final 9 games. I think if Arsenal win, I have the percentages somewhat like 40% Liverpool, 35% Arsenal, and the rest City. That's where I'm at. All Arsenal are basically neck to neck.
Listen, my favourites are Liverpool as it stands right now, but I've said on a few shows already that this weekend it could all change in multiple directions. I think if Liverpool were to drop more points and Arsenal won, they would become and it's all marginal favourites. Arsenal may become the marginal favourites. If City were to win, obviously that would mean Arsenal would drop points, and Liverpool to drop points again. City become the favourites for me. If Liverpool win and you guys draw, they remain the favourites. And again, it's all marginal, and that's why I'm really excited about the Premier League returning. This game kind of being not quite the curtain opener because it's happening. It's the last game on the Sunday, but there's so many kind of ramifications, and because it's a 3-horse race, it isn't as simple as just it's 5 points to catch up. We can do that. You might end up being 5 or 6 points behind 2 teams. The probability then changes because you need both to mess up and you need to be better than both of them in a very short span of time. So it's going to be amazing. And I also agree. I think if Arsenal do beat Man City this weekend, I think they end City's Premier League campaign. As in, I don't think City will win the Premier League. It doesn't end their season. They're in the FA Cup. They're in the Champions League. They're favourites to win both of them. But their Premier League season, I think, is over as far as defending their trophy if Arsenal can pick up a big win. What do you have to do, Dan, on Sunday to ensure you get a positive result against Man City? What is it that you need to stop their end, and what is it that you need from Arsenal to ensure that you pick up points?
Well, listen, I don't have any problems with our defending of late. I think Gabriel and Saliba's partnership is fantastic. So obviously we have to look at it. Haaland's unreal, KDB's unreal, Foden, they've got top players, right? Top players. But we've got to take our chances, Till. We can't be gifted any silly chances, but we've got to be taking our chances. And that we've got better out of late. I think the first part of the season, that was one of our worst kind of downfalls, really, was that we were not taking chances. You've got to do that against Man City, who I think, by the way, we can get in behind. I've seen Marcus Rashford get in behind them. I've seen Chelsea draw against Man City this season ridiculously. So they can definitely be got at. I think LB would admit, I don't think defensively they look as good this year. I think they've definitely got some weaknesses there. But this is Man City, man. This is Man City. Do not think that Man City will not be up for this game, by the way. This is an absolutely massive game for them as well. Because, potentially they lose this and they might be feeling like LB, like, oh, God, that's going to be too tough now. So I think they're going to be massively up for it, man. But we need to try and make sure that we dominate the midfield battle, for me. I don't know if it's going to be Partey or Jorginho. It's probably going to be Jorginho looking at things now because Partey's just not played enough football. But Declan Rice is a massive one for me. Declan Rice, we need to go there. For me, still this season, although we've been great, mentally, we've not been able to get across the line in big away games. Villa Park, lost. St. James Park, lost. Gone to Stamford Bridge, couldn't win. Gone to Anfield, couldn't win. Let's change that, man. We go to the Etihad and people will start comparing this if we win to the Overmars season in 98 when we beat you at Old Trafford. They will, because that was the big turning point of that season. And I think that, for me, makes us massive, massive favourites winning the league if we beat them at the Etihad. A lot of people are saying, Arsenal will go and be favourites to win the league if we beat Man City. That's why we got to do it, man. That's why we absolutely have to do this. Forget Champions League, forget who we've got next, forget the Luton game. Just concentrate on this. get everyone back fit, get them psyched up for it. And if they can prove they can get across the line here, that's a massive, massive lift. And I think that's a huge, huge statement. And I think people will start to look and people will start putting Arsenal are scary on their YouTube channels again. That's what will happen.
Do you think the league's over if you lose? If City beat you, are you saying league over?
I don't see us winning the league if we lose. No, I don't think we win. I don't think we win the league if we lose this game. No, I don't.
Yeah, nor do I. I don't think you do.
I don't mentally that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it'll be time for Arsenal are out, like Arsenal are done. But I would be if Arsenal lost on Sunday and went on and won the league. I think City and Liverpool would have to look at themselves and go, bloody hell, how did we let that happen? So yeah, I don't know. I just think it'd be very tricky. Whoever loses this game, I give them very little chance of winning the Premier League. Very little.
Yeah, I think it depends on what happens with Liverpool. So if Liverpool beat Brighton and City beat Arsenal, then yeah, because then they have one team 3 points ahead of them, the other team 2 points ahead of them. So that makes it, there's two teams that then got to do better than. But if Liverpool were to draw with Brighton and City were to win, yes, they'd still be third, but you're talking about one win being the difference. And the idea that Arsenal couldn't win their remaining games or get at least 3 more points. So I do think the Liverpool result is key. I wouldn't say if Arsenal lose 100% it's over, but I think if Liverpool win as well, which they're very likely to do against Brighton, it makes it harder for Arsenal because then they need 2 of the best teams of the last decade to slip up. And they've got some, they've got to go away to Spurs. They've got to go away to Manchester United as well. But then so Liverpool got to go away to Man United. And that's, we saw what happened to them there the other week. So yeah, it's just a little different because it's one of those weird ones. It's a smaller points gap for Arsenal, where for City, they could end up being 4 points behind both teams by the end of this weekend. And it's just a slightly bigger jump. But yeah, I think Arsenal will be hanging on by a thread. But if Liverpool win as well, yeah, it's going to be tough for them to win the league, which is crazy. With 9 games to go, there being 2 points in it. But we know the relentlessness of City. We know the relentlessness of Liverpool in title races. It's gonna be really, really hard to win it from. They'll need a little bit of a miracle from there. But listen, the Premier League, I still see final day of the season, all 3 teams with the ability to win it.
Yeah,
final day of the season, anyone can win it. I still think it's going to go that far.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's possible. Listen, it's when you say these things about like, oh, you know what I mean? If are Arsenal out of it if they lose, are City out of it? Try not to think of it as like a negative on that team. When I say if City lose, I don't think City will win the league. Don't see that if you're a City fan. Don't think that I'm saying that because I'm being negative. I'm actually just trying to give the respect that the other 2 teams deserve, man. Like, I can't sit here with 9 games to go, it's basically 5 points behind because of our goal difference, and go, yeah, don't worry about that. We're still going to do it. Like, that assumes that these 2 teams drop points in at least 2 matches. I just don't. And then we also, by the way, have to obviously win all our games. I just think that's unlikely, So yeah. It's a huge game. I think it's the biggest game of the season because whilst Terry's right, if Arsenal lose, they're probably not quite out of it. But if City lose, I think they're out of it, but it's probably got like a 5% chance. I butchered the maths earlier. It is just a huge one. Who's your game after City in the league, Dan?
Luton.
Oh.
But that's why winning it, Arsenal win, and then you play Luton is almost a guarantee, and it's at home as well. It's a guaranteed 3 points. And that's the thing. It's you beat them, you go 4 points ahead, and it's a nigh on certainty you win the next game. So suddenly, that 4-point gap, with the goal difference being in your favor, they need to have a 5-point swing with 8 games to go. Plus, Liverpool could be the same distance ahead of them. That's why it becomes hard. And I agree with you. I'm not saying Arsenal, all the teams can mathematically still win it, and I think it will go to the wire. I'm just saying I think all 3 teams are so good and so strong. If a 4-5-point gap appears, I don't think any of the teams are being caught. I just don't think they're going to be because, yes, they might. Yes, there's some games where each team could drop points, but it's the same for all of them. Does that make sense? And I don't see anybody going the last 10 games of the season unbeaten and winning all the games either. I think all teams will drop points. But this weekend, I feel we're going to look back at this come the end of May and say this was the pivotal weekend when it was sort of the beginning of the end for for two teams. So yeah, I'm very excited
Can
about
I
it.
ask you guys a question, and maybe a question for the chat? You know, right now, like all the eyes of the world are going to be on this Arsenal and City game. Everyone's talking about it, right? Do you think that there is any chance that maybe the Liverpool players could potentially not I don't want to say not take it seriously, but like maybe think about the City and Arsenal game and slip up? Because on the day, Brighton are a very good team on the day. I know when they play badly, they get slapped up, but like, just basically the question I'm asking: does anyone see Brighton potentially getting anything from Liverpool?
No,
No,
no.
nothing
It's
at
at
all.
Liverpool, right? It's at Anfield.
Yeah, it's at
Yeah,
Anfield.
no, I can't see
The record against Anfield is ridiculous as well. I was checking it out. Yeah, other than like the big six teams, they literally slap everyone. You know, I think they scored 3 goals.
But barring Brighton. So
Oh.
Brighton are a team they've had some good results and scored a lot of goals there. I want to go and check this on the 11 v 11. Liverpool versus Brighton.
Go on, Terry. Give us some confidence, man.
I just because last year I think it was 3-3. I know Trossard was there for that game, but yeah. So they win. So Brighton, they drew 2-2 earlier on this season. Liverpool, they beat Liverpool 2-1 in the FA Cup. That was at their ground last year. They beat them 3-0 in the Premier League last season. They drew 3-3 at Anfield last season. Liverpool won at Brighton in March 22, and it was 2-2 when they played each other at Anfield in 2021. And Brighton won 1-0 the season before that at Anfield. So they're unbeaten in the last 3 games at Anfield, Brighton. They literally got a better record at Anfield in the last 3 years than any other team in Europe, Brighton.
That is exactly what I needed to hear. I'm sure Dan the same.
It's there.
Liverpool
have won 1 game against them in the last 4 years.
That's a madness, you know.
In all
that
comps.
is a madness.
That is mad, but I just don't see it.
But I'm going to dampen your dreams.
Oh, there we go, yeah.
Because it's a win against a team that you barely beat that could completely cement your title credentials and give you that confidence, because there's probably a little bit of not nerves going into the game, but they always get results against us. They always beat us. They're always better than us. And in recent years, and you know what's crazy? Prior to Brighton drawing 0-0 with 1-1 with them in November 2020, prior to that, Liverpool won the previous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, won 10 of the last 11 encounters between the two teams. Then it's been hard. But Liverpool win that could galvanize them. It's another one of those matches where I think as rivals, we don't really see it as being a problem. But I think Liverpool are aware this is a bogey team. Does that make sense? Remember Arsenal used to have Brighton back in the day? Crystal Palace were a little bit like that for Man City. I think this is their team. This is Liverpool's bogey team, you know. Now I've said that, I'll fuck the football gods, but
come on.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. The scenes. Imagine like how that would change the whole complex of the City Arsenal game if Brighton were to get a point or win. I mean, it would just completely change how I'd view the Arsenal game. You know what I mean? I'd probably go into the game. I mean, put it this way. If Liverpool lost against Brighton, yeah, all of a sudden, I'm kind of chilled a point. We're level on points with Liverpool, and we're 1 behind Arsenal. Right? I'm kind of back that 9 games left. I reckon we can get more points than Arsenal in the final 9. You know, if they drew the game, again, would I take a point? I probably would take a point, even if they drew the game. So it's massive. It's a big game, man. Liverpool just need to handle their business. They're in the dream scenario. Yeah, go out there, get the win, and then chill back and just watch the war.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be a mad one. And my brothers are all down at the weekend because it's my big brother's birthday. So all my Liverpool brothers are coming down. It's gonna be carnage because if they lose, I'm gonna beat one of them up, just like when we were kids. Just for a laugh. Like, if you lose, I'm also gonna beat you up, bro. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna beat one of them up. And just see. That'll be fun. I haven't beat one of my brothers up in years. I love beating my little brothers up. It's always a lot of fun. But there we go. We have a super chat here that says a question for all of you three. With the conversation about the Premier League Hall of Fame, if you can build your dream 11 for each of your club's history, who would be in it and why are they so important to your club? Great
It's a whole lot
question.
of show, isn't it?
It's a great question. I mean, it's probably easy for LB. He just says last week the Champions League starting 11. Basically, that's City's greatest team ever. But no, who would be in yours, LB?
So City only.
City only, yeah.
Edison, Walker, Vincent Kompany, John Stones, Nathan Ake, because our left back's been pretty poor. Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, Sergio Aguero, and then maybe Sane and I don't even know. I don't know. Who would I play on the other wing? Oscar Bob. Okay, throw him in there. I don't know.
Bernardo, surely. Bernardo, surely.
Hang on
Yeah, I
a
said
minute.
Bernardo on there.
Hang on a minute. Where's the likes of King Clancy? Where's the likes of Sean Goater here? What's going on?
Where's Wright Phillips? Come on.
King Clancy is top player, by the way, but
Right
not getting there.
Phillips, Stephen Ireland,
Right, Phillips could be a shout for the winger, but no.
Casper Schmeichel. Come on, where are your actual legends?
Casper Schmeichel didn't even play a game for us. I'm pretty sure he played 3 games.
He played against Man United when you beat us. I was at that game. I remember it. What about yourself, Dan? Who would be your we'll scale it down to like in your lifetime? So what you've witnessed play, who would be your dream? That's your Premier League Hall of Fame Arsenal team.
I'm going to try and get through this quick because my Wi-Fi is moving mad. I'm going to go Seaman in goal, Dixon at right back, left back Ashley Cole, Sol Campbell and Tony Adams. In midfield, I'm going to go with a kind of diamond, a bit of a strange one. I'm going to go with Patrick Vieira, Cesc Fabregas, Robert Pires, Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry and Ian Wright.
Great team. Mine, Premier League era, Schmeichel in goal, of course. Right back, Gary Neville. Left back, Dennis Irwin. And I always shout this out, and I'm going to go into detail on it real quickly. I rate him as the best fullback in Premier League history. And the reason why? Because he was a right back who was right-footed that played at left back for a decade. And I challenge anyone that you think's better to play in the opposite flank for a decade and look flawless. So Dennis Irwin at left back. Centre backs, I would go with Yapstam and Rio Ferdinand. I'm going to go with I'm going to go 4-4-2 because I'm going to keep it old school. And I'm going to go with Ronaldo on the right, Giggs on the left, Scholes and Keane in the middle. And that hurts me because I want Michael Carrick in there so bad, but I can't. And then up front, this would have been the most awesome duo ever. King Cantona, Wayne Rooney together. And there's so many that I could have put in that have missed out. But yeah, that would be my personal team that I would go with on there. There we go. Boys, score predictions for Arsenal's trip to Manchester City. Stick that, and viewers send yours in as well. What we going with, boys?
Go on, Dan. You go top of the league. You go first.
Nice. Thanks, mate. I'll go 2-2. I'll go 2-2. Draw.
2-2.
So I think it'll be.
Where's the chest, man?
Two backer here. 2 backs, no chest. Come on.
As if the guy's just gone for a 2-2. Come on, bro. You gotta get your chest out so you can get clipped if it goes wrong, innit?
Yes.
I missed most of that because of my Wi-Fi, but yeah, I'll go 2-2, man.
2-2.
Yeah. I just say it was a great score prediction. I will go for City 3, Arsenal 1.
Big result.
Yeah, man.
My prediction will be coming out later on in the week when I do my personal preview to it. So I'm holding back on mine until you got to save the content, boys, isn't it? You got to save the content, as it were. Gentlemen, absolute pleasure talking to you both. I am going to be live tonight after England's game, and the new Clarence Seedorf starts for Man United for England in Covey Mainoo. So I'll see you all then. Hit the like button before you leave. Make sure you're subscribing. But as I said already, check out Field of Greens. This stuff is absolutely phenomenal. Pure organic superfood. No crud, no crap, no adjectives. Man like Eddie will not be calling this stuff fucking shit. It is absolutely top class. Doesn't look so great. Does look a little brown, but it tastes nice. I promise you. That's how you know it's good. Their products are absolutely amazing. 15% off if you use promo code SQUAD. Click the link below or scan that QR code and check it out. But LB, Dan Potts, always a pleasure to speak football with you two. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.